Let me say a pleasant good evening to the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association President, Mr. Martin Lumpkin. Happy New Year, sir, and all the best to you and your staff and family.
Many happy returns to you, your family, and your staff.
Thank you. Well. I know you're starting off a bit bumpy this year, and sometimes I ask myself, this is a man that doesn't seem to run out of patience, but the sort of treatment that is meted out to you and to teachers, it makes me wonder. The issue of the back pay for teachers, has that finally been cleared up? How are things developing with that?
Well, the response we would have gotten from the Ministry of Education is that 97% of the teachers should have their back pay by the January pay. So there are 3% who have some HR issues that need to be clarified before it's being paid. That's the information we have gotten from the Ministry of Education. So we continue to monitor the situation. We have gotten feedback from some of our members that they haven't been paid up to now. They have checked the IRIS system, login, checked for their January payslip, and it's not reflected as yet. So we give the Ministry of Education the benefit of the doubt at this time, and so we will continue to monitor as of the end of January when the pay is distributed to the teachers, and then we will make further representation.
All right. Last night on the Observer right here, I had a discussion with Karen East MP, medical doctor, Dr. Richard C. Charan, and we spoke about the pronouncement made recently by the Minister of Health in increased COVID-19 cases as well as the influenza season, and he's asking those vulnerable to encourage them to wear their face masks. Have they laid out any plans as far as the school system?
To our knowledge, to the best of our knowledge at this point, we have not gotten any feedback from our members or the Ministry of Education that they are re-establishing or reinstituting COVID-19 protocols, which, as you can recall, would be hand washing upon entry, hand washing at every possible time, utilization of hand sanitizers, utilization of face masks. We haven't gotten any indication thus far, but TTUTA is concerned that with the pronouncement by the Minister of Health that there should have been some proactive measures taking place. We are hearing incidents of our members coming down with flu-like symptoms, and as you said, because of the influenza season, we had a issue of allegedly a child at Tranquility Government Secondary School being tested positive for tuberculosis as well. And as you know, all of these, they have similar symptoms, and so I can say that it was reported by officials of the Ministry of Health that the student was not tested positive, but the parent was, and as such, they have done the contact tracing and the necessary testing, and the children of the person, they remain quarantined. So all of these, causes a lot of discomfort and anxiety amongst our membership.
Yeah, well, one would think so, because young people may fall in the category of vulnerable, and as far as it goes, laying out some sort of plan or whatever system to deal with it in the schools in case of, let's say, there's an uptick among the young people in the school system. So I do hope that something is done with that. Going into a new year, I know there's going to be challenges that are going to be coming forward from last year, school violence and many of these other issues. How are you looking as far as dealing with some of these issues?
Well, TTUTA stands quite prepared to have dialogue and consultation with the Ministry of Education on a number of issues. If you permit me, Mikey,
sure.
In terms of the same COVID-19 and protocols and so forth, if those protocols are to be re-established in schools, and you're speaking about having hand sanitizers, hand soap, as well as if they're going to be using those sprays to disinfect. And so this requires the school to purchase these items. And one of the issues we are having is that the Ministry of Education has not released any funding to any schools that I am aware of for the academic year 23-24, and we are in the second term. And I want to say categorically, it has never been, and it will not be, as long as TTUTA is aware. The job of the teachers, educators, to raise funds for these things. People have gotten so accustomed that teachers would raise funds, principals would have fundraisers and so forth. But that is not the job. They do that voluntarily, and they do that because they have the best interest of the school and the children at heart. However, it is and it will always be the responsibility of the Ministry of Education to provide the resources, whether it's financial, human, or otherwise, to have schools running efficiently and effectively. So if we are to have these protocols in place, then the Ministry of Education has to fund the schools properly. Coming back to your question before, and so TTUTA has taken note of a number of issues. Violence and indiscipline is one, and quite recently, officers were on retreat, and one of our past officers would have gone through some of the agreements that we had with CPO, Ministry of Education. And quite interestingly, I believe in the 1980s, he had said, TTUTA had consultation with the Ministry of Education, and there was actually a symposium on school violence and indiscipline, and there were a number of recommendations. Some were implemented, and some left in the back burner.
Yeah.
So it shows that TTUTA has always been open to dialogue. And so violence and indiscipline, we are looking at the school level, treating the symptoms of what violence and indiscipline is. Have we gotten to the root cause of violence and indiscipline and try to treat it from there? It's a societal issue, and has the powers that be, I'm not only saying government agencies, as the faith-based agencies, and the other agencies really looked at tackling violence and indiscipline. And we all ask the question, and where are these firearms coming from? We don't manufacture that in Trinidad and Tobago. Where are the illicit drugs coming from? Why is there an upsurge in gang violence? And so, we really need to dig into it. And one of the things I've said in the past, corruption fuels the violence and indiscipline in this country as well. And so we really need to have that conversation, serious conversation, and there must be the will to actually tackle it. Let us stop the party politics. Let us stop blaming who and saying, that if we are serious about it, to me, we will come together no matter which political party, which sphere you come from, which, how put it?
Background or whatever, yeah. And trust me, that really sounds good. But at the end of the day, if we don't get the cooperation from the powers that be, a lot of these things are not going to be a reality as far as dealing with education. I mean, we are talking about the human index here, and that in itself is an investment for us as a country moving forward. And it still seems as though the reality hasn't kicked in, that we should no longer be playing catch up with the global market when it comes to education, because we can get the resources, we can get the tools, but all of these shallow and empty rhetorical statements about the parents are not doing their part and this one isn't doing their part, all stakeholders need to step up.
Yeah.
And are you seeing that? I mean, you talked about the faith-based organizations. Has everyone who has some influence in all of this, have they stepped up and done their part?
Well, they will argue yes, but for me personally, it's within your own comfort zone. Are you willing to go beyond that? And I quite agree with these statements that you make. We put in window dressing or lip service to these things. Are we really looking seriously? And one of the things is reflecting on our education system. We have a colonial-based system. Are we willing to now change that? Our methods of evaluation, are we evaluating for education or are we evaluating our education or evaluation of education?
Yeah.
These are some of the questions that needs to be seriously looked at. We have issues of the SEA and what we call those either continuous assessment or are we looking just at the summative assessment instead of the alternative?
Yeah, and you're right about that. I want to thank you so much for taking time out. I want to wish you all the best as far as the agenda, the entire agenda that you have laid out for this year. I hope it's a success. Everyone steps up. Everyone understands the importance. Teachers, their role and their purpose. I really do. When we talk again, I hope that some of these headaches no longer exist. So again, all the best to you, and we will be checking in with you periodically and giving us an update of what's happening with the education system here in Trinidad and Tobago. So,
thank you very much.
hats off again. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much.